Yesterday, the Dallas Fuel and the Boston Uprising made a pretty head-scratching and chin-scratching trade. Both teams traded their flex tanks, which was not something that anybody really saw coming. It was a trade that, for the most part, is lateral, and I wanted to kind of get into the ins and outs and speculate on the reasons why, and take some third-party input from other pundits and experts around the scene talking about this, and speculate on what this could mean and why this might have happened and what could be on the horizon for both teams in the coming days, probably today, seeing how I'm filming this very, very early in the morning on the 3rd of April, and the stage 2 starts on the 4th. So I would assume that we'll probably get a lot more roster movement today as well. So again, this all could be old news by the time this gets posted. Hopefully not. So who won in this trade? Boston or Dallas? That seems to be the big discussion at the moment, outside of, how could Boston trade? No, he's been, with the roster for so long. I don't really believe anybody won, per se. I feel like this was a massive lateral movement. If anything, I think Boston, time and time again, has shown that they have an eye for talent, and rCk is very, very talented. If anything, I think Boston actually got a little bit slightly better end of the trade. They've acquired somebody who can be a little bit more flexible at the flex tank position, which is going to be important. When we go into stage 2, I don't expect goats to just go away immediately. I do think that towards the end of the stage, we will see less and less goats. We'll probably see more DPS compositions. We'll probably see more bunker compositions that features Orisa, Baptiste, things of that nature. Maybe even a little bit more Bastion. Having your D.Va or having, your flex tank player, whatever hero decides that they want to, be in the meta at the moment, whatever hero that ends up being, having a flex tank that can play the Zarya, can play the D.Va, has been successful on the Sombra. Having that flexibility is going to be very, very important. And Boston has that flexibility now. NotE going to Dallas gives Dallas another very, very solid D.Va player, but not much else. So if anything, I think there's a marginal edge to Boston's overall skill level. Yes, people have been very attached to NotE, and he is very, very good, but I'm, rest assured, if you value my opinion, rCk is still very good. Look at what he's done with Boston on his, short tenure with them. He can do the same thing. Or, with his short tenure with Dallas, he'll do the same thing for Boston. Now, why has this happened? This is where I think things get muddied. And this is, again, speculation on my behalf. But when you sign someone, I think rCk's been with Dallas for about 6 months, right? 6 months officially. Unofficially, I would say maybe a couple weeks before that. So again, like 6 and change, maybe 4 months, something in that ballpark, right? When you sign someone for that long, or you're making changes from that signing, that acquisition, with that amount of time put into this player, that seems like a very short turnaround for me. I don't think you're signing someone in the league for under a year with the +1 option or the +2 option, depending on what kind of contract rCk was given. Maybe it just was a 1 year, who knows. But there again, I don't think you're just signing someone for 6 months and then reevaluating as you go. It makes me feel like Dallas was not happy with how things were going, which is bizarre, which is pretty surprising. We can get into why that might be towards the end of the video, where there possibly could be some more changes going on. But from the get-go, it seemed to me that Dallas was not happy. I don't think you signed a player, in the preseason and before the first quarter of the second season is done, you let them go, right? That seems very strange to me. Again, you're making a lateral movement to bring NotE in. There again, has ties to the coaches. I said before the preseason or the postseason of season 1, follow the coaches. The coaches are always going to kind of gravitate towards players that they've coached before. And again, Jane has worked with NotE on Team Canada. What I think probably happened was that Dallas was not happy with rCk or how that situation was, unfolding. Was it a problem on the fault of rCk? Was it a team cohesion thing? Was it, they weren't happy with the buyout that they paid and wanted to shift focus, and they always wanted NotE? Who knows? They weren't happy with the situation that they were in. So they make a move. They bring in the coaches. They say, okay, who do we want? They've seemingly possibly have wanted NotE in the past, right? They pull NotE in, they pull Boston, and they say, okay, how do we make this work? How can we get NotE on our team? They say, okay, let's offer a trade. Boston has been the top shelf, the premium talent vendors in the Overwatch League. They have an eye for talent. I will give Huck that. I'll give Boston that, massive kudos. You probably the one team that gets scouting done well, right? They have a lot of talent. They're willing to sell all that talent. It seems like everybody on Boston has a price tag. If you're willing to pay, they're willing to ship them out to whatever colors you want to slap on them. They're willing to sell, right? Because they have that infrastructure set in place to be able to scout. So Dallas offers rCk. I would imagine probably with a little bit of a little bit more of incentive. If I had to imagine, there's probably some cash involved. I think that the buyouts for the Overwatch League players, especially Boston Uprising, have been higher than, I would say, the average. I don't know the average, but seems high. I would say it seems high. So I think this was probably a little bit more to it than just a one-to-one trade. If it was, I think Boston probably could have gotten a little bit more. I think they've got money. If I had to guess, I think they got money as well as rCk. So there's kind of my thought process. Dallas wasn't happy. They go to Boston. They make the trade happen. Vice versa. And the reason, one of the biggest evidence points I can point to on why this was very much a Dallas sided trade or a Dallas initiated trade is look at Boston's trade record, right? They sold Neko to Defiant. They sold Striker to Shock. They sold Gamsu to Shanghai. They're not looking to sell. People are coming to them to buy, right? This is why I think Dallas, again, was not happy. They went to buy. They got NotE. Where can this go in the future? Jane made a statement on his stream, I believe. I just was surfing Reddit and had found this, that there will be more changes that are not announced to the Dallas Fuel that possibly will make more sense of why NotE was brought on. And this means a couple of different things. They could be going for agilities. They played with each other on Team Canada. There could be some, possible synergy there. Maybe they work together well. If NotE is a possible leader figure, could help closer. Who knows? That kind of makes the most sense to me, I would say. If there's going to be a reason why NotE was taken in particular, there could be some sort of Team Canada reunion being brought up in the midst. This could spell more changes for the Dallas Fuel in terms of older talent stepping away or being transferred off elsewhere. Difficult to say, but there again, just taking the context of more changes incoming for the Dallas Fuel. Damon, former head coach of the Paris Eternal, is now a free agent. Who, going back to what I said earlier, if you follow the coaches, I think inversely you can also look at where coaches have not coached before, but looking at a history between players and coaches. And if you look at the Dallas Fuel, they both have AKM and they have Unco. Damon and AKM have worked together before, back in Rogue, back when they were playing in Canada for Contenders. Could we see Damon possibly reunite with some of the Frenchies on Dallas Fuel. I think it's a possibility. He's looking for a job. They have players he's worked with in the past. That definitely could be a thing that happens. But this was a very strange move, I will say. When we were doing Tactical Crouch, this was something that kind of caught me off guard, and I really wanted to kind of collect my thoughts and think about it, and I think I've got a good idea of why this happened. Another avenue you could explore is that rCk wasn't happy with the situation with Dallas and was asking to be traded. There again, it still puts the onus on Dallas as the initiators in this trade, but the intentions kind of shift there. And this kind of does play into Team Envious, the Dallas Fuel. They're very player focused for the most part. If a player wants to stay within the organization, a la Coco, a la Mickey, they will try to facilitate them, staying within the roster, staying within the organization. If they can move them around to another sport, this, that, the other thing, they'll try to accommodate them as best as they can. I mean, look at what Effect had to go through, and they still tried to, bring him back within the team. Commendable efforts there. So if rCk wasn't happy and, this isn't the team for me, this, that, the other thing, and Hastro then goes, okay, well, we'll try to, accommodate you elsewhere. It still puts the onus on Dallas Fuel. Again, something wasn't working right within that team, and they make the trade happen. Was it, happenstance? Was it circumstantial that they went with NotE? Was this the plan all along? I think it was the plan all along. I don't think it was necessarily rCk's decision. I think this was very much a Fuel brass, the heads of the Dallas Fuel, the coaching staff, making some big picture changes to the Fuel for Stage 2, because this is a roster that needs to kind of find success. I mean, they have their home games coming up. They're going to want to win, right? So the best way to win is to have a pretty good roster. And to be fair to the Fuel fans, they don't have a bad roster, right? AKM has looked fantastic. I think he's going to really come into his own in Stage 2, especially if we're going back to possibly a Somber Soldier meta. That could be a thing. Maybe even seeing him play a little bit of Baptiste. Could share some playtime with Unko, depending on where that hero gets, moved and rotated to. So yeah, this is just kind of my collective thoughts on the whole Boston Dallas trade fiasco. If there's anything else you guys want me to talk about in terms of these last few days and how crazy they've been, let me know in the comments below or hit me up on Twitter, and I'll try to make that happen. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.